For number 22, we know that Vy is 90. We also know, I think the best way to do this is to go ahead and add all of our arcs and set that equal to 360. So starting with 8x, I'm going to do 8x plus 21x minus 12 plus 10x plus 9 plus 90 equals the total, which is 360. So here, if I combine like terms, I get 39x plus 87 equals 360. So if I solve that two-step equation, I would get that x is 7. But it says, what is arc VW? So we're just going to plug 7 back into x right here. So 8 times 7 is 56 degrees. All right. Okay, for these two, when a radius meets a tangent line, so the green is tangent, it creates a 90-degree angle. So if you needed to find the measurement of angle x inside of this triangle, we could add 90 and 62. And subtract that from 180 to get my x, which would be 28. Okay, so again, same thing, 90 plus 28 and then subtract that from the 180 and we get 62. Okay, and number 25 I went ahead and just highlighted as I was highlighting up there. So here we're given that the radius is x, so this part of the line is also x, and then we have this 8 down here, so we call this segment x plus 8. Okay, now if we were to label our sides, this is considered like your A, your B, and because this segment is across from the right angle, this is like your C. So we would say a squared, which is x squared, plus b squared, which is 13 squared, equals c squared, which is really x plus 8 squared. And so that means that you have to write this twice. All right. So we'll go ahead and bring this down. And then I want to do FOILs. So x times x, x times 8, 8 times x, 8 times 8. All right, now, if I want to get my x squareds together, and I subtract x squared from both sides, they both cancel. Okay, so I'm left with 169 equals 8x plus 8x, which is 16x, plus 64. So now, it's just a two-step equation. So I could subtract the 64 and get 105. I can divide by 16 and get 6.56. But the directions do say round to the nearest tenth. So this 6 makes the 5 round up. And my answer is 6.6. Okay. For number 26, congruent arcs mean that the chords are both equal. So if these two chords are congruent, then these two are congruent to each other. So we would say 9x minus 34 equals 4x minus, or no, sorry, plus 1. So if I subtract 4, I get 5x. If I add 34 over, we get 35, and x is simply 7. And ask us, what is the segment of xy? So I take the 7, and I got to plug it in for x right here. So 28 plus 1 is 29. Okay. Okay, and then the very last one here, again, we have this idea of congruent arcs, congruent chords. Okay, so if these are equal right here, then NP is congruent to NM, which means that arc NP is also 5x minus 43. And so the first thing that you know is that all of those arcs have to add up to 360. And so I'm going to go ahead and add these together, plus the 76. Alright, so if I add my x's, I get 10x. Negative 43 minus 43 plus 76 gives me a negative 10 equals 360. So I can add my 10 over and get 370. Divide by 10 and get 37. Alright, so we know that x is 37. Then it says, find the measure of arc in P. Alright, so I would just take I would take 37, I'd plug it in for x. And if I multiply, I get 185. And if I subtract that, we get 142 degrees.